Gyrfalcon's Hauberk was out of control in PvP. And in a recent hotfix, Bungie adjusted Gyrfalcons to work differently, switching the damage bonus that you used to get when coming out of invisibility to now only coming from finisher kills instead. The overshield effect is still there as well, but they added a new effect for coming out of invisibility, and that is giving your weapons volatile rounds for 10 seconds. At the moment, there is no cooldown on this effect, which basically means you're getting infinite volatile rounds. You are combining Stylish Executioner, which turns you invisible after you kill a target that has a void debuff on it, with Gyrfalcon's Hauberk. You come out of invisibility, now you have volatile rounds, you shoot something, that will apply volatile to it, you kill that target, you go invisible because of Stylish Executioner, you shoot again, rinse, repeat. You are constantly and automatically going in and out of invisibility, refreshing the buff over and over again. All you need to do is come out of invisibility to get the chain started. That is the combo starter. The last time we even discussed Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, it was broken in that you literally could not even equip it. We talked about it in my Collective Obligation video, in which I declared Collective Obligation, and I quote, "stupid." Nothing about Collective Obligation has changed since that video, but one major issue that hunters have had with any sort of Collective Obligation-based build is their struggle with getting Volatile. They can only get it from their super, which isn't the most consistent experience, or from their grenade via a fragment, which also is not the most consistent experience, but it's not that bad. Reintroducing Gyrfalcon's Hauberk. Hunters are now the absolute champions of Volatile because of this exotic. This is a build for people who want to play with guns and who want special effects on those guns. Honestly, it's really just gun in particular, Collective Obligation from VOW, but if you don't have that, void weapons are gonna work. Le Monarch, Graviton Lance, the Manticore, Ruinous Effigy, Wave Splitter, all really fun options, plus all of the legendaries out there, plus all the power weapons out there. But you lose some of the fun of transferring debuffs everywhere. In this video, I will assume that you're using Collective Obligation, although I do have a negative to say on the weapon. Welcome to Flavor of the Season for Void Hunter, and possibly longer than that. What I like about the build here is that there are a lot of small tweaks you can make in order to make the build yours. Aspect-wise, I went with Stylish Executioner, which is kind of mandatory here, and Vanishing Step. If you like Trappers over Step, feel free to take that instead, although you will be left with one fewer fragment slot. Fragments, again, this is where you can make the small tweaks that you want to make. Me personally, I still love having Devour on Hunter because of the grenade regen. Hunters don't have a ton of that. And healing because I don't run with super high recovery anymore. But even how you go about getting Devour is up to you. Obviously, you need Echo of Starvation to get things rolling. How you go about making Orbs of Power, that is in your control. Maybe you roll with some helmet mods and you make orbs that way. Maybe you go with Echo of Harvest and you make orbs that way. This frees up your helm slot, and this works well if you're very diligent about getting all those debuffs that you stack with your Collective Obligation and chaining weakness from enemy to enemy. And even weakness. You can just rely on your Smoke Bomb to get weakness and then roll with Gambler's Dodge to get your Smoke Bomb back. Marksman's Dodge is kind of redundant anyway if you run with Collective Obligation, since you'll be constantly auto-reloading anyway. That means you might not need to use Echo of Undermining, which is a brutal -20 discipline, but you can still get it if you feel comfortable with that. Echo of Persistence makes sense here, given you'll have access to all of the things it gives bonuses to. So Persistence, Starvation, and Harvest is where Trapper Hunters are going to cap out. Vanishing Step Hunters can round out their build with a final fragment of their choice. Mod-wise, we're probably still rolling with Elemental Wells. You could try some other stuff, but considering that you have a bunch of debuffs to keep track of and stack back and forth, let's not make this too complicated. You can keep it real basic. Elemental Time Dilation, a bunch of Font of Might mods, and some sort of well generator like Reaping Wellmaker. I'd probably go Elemental Armaments, considering all the gun kills you're going to be getting, but that's just my preference. You could get a little bit of everything instead. Font of Might and Font of Wisdom, a well generator, and then maybe also Well of Tenacity for some damage resistance. You have access to a lot of invisibility, so I don't know how much you're going to need damage resistance, but it's there if you want it. We do not need a single seasonal artifact mod, but if you're watching in Season 19, Monochromatic Maestro is a very easy option to toss into your class item, although you're not going to be going berserk with your abilities. I did not find myself going invisible to do finishers on enemies that frequently, at least not in stuff like the seasonal activity, so activating the secondary effect of Gyrfalcon wasn't the biggest urgency to me. Weakened Clear is a very easy way to get weakened on your collective obligation. You just need to roll with a kinetic or a power slot grenade launcher, not the biggest deal in the world. I think Smoke Bomb is enough personally, but if you don't, then that is also your choice. Solo Operative is a pretty easy choice to make as well, but it's just a flat damage bonus as a solo player. It's not really part of the build more than it is just a big old bonus that you just throw on yourself. Stats-wise, my Hunter's gear is pretty bad, and I also have some negative stats in my subclass right now, but you are pretty free to build as you please. Part of me says you don't need a ton of resilience because of heavy invisibility usage, but resilience, never a bad choice. Recovery, you don't really need to go super heavy there either if you're spec'd for Devour. Discipline, Devour's gonna help with that too, never bad to go for Discipline. Mobility, obviously very important to Hunters though. Strength is gonna be through Gambler's Dodge, so you don't even really need that much strength. Intellect can be done through Font of Might or just, you know, not caring about intellect still. So build how you like here. Build your best stats, build however you want. This build is just really wild. Nearly permanent Devour and Volatile rounds. Do you really need suppression and weakness in lower level content? Even the new, slightly harder difficulty Season 19 activity? Honestly, you kinda don't. Volatile is going to wipe out most of your problems, but I mean, no one's going to get mad at you for applying suppression or weakness on anything. Well, almost anything. Bruh. It's the only bad thing about suppression on these things. It makes it so you can't even hurt them. This is the Add Clear workhorse build. If you need to just AoE tons of enemies down, but you actually want to use guns instead of ability spam, this is the build. It is a perfect build for seasonal content, especially in Season 19. Here's the thing about Collective Obligation though. Is it nice to apply those debuffs to everything all the time? Yes, of course. Will you zone out on occasion and forget to restack those buffs onto your gun because you're too busy just annihilating everything in sight to care to do it? Yes, you will zone out. Which is why Collective Obligation isn't necessarily an absolute need for this build, but it does bring things to another level. In upper end content, this build is going to have the same shortcomings as we discussed in this Collective Obligation video. Collective is just not that great at dealing with champions versus just taking out a linear fusion or a regular special weapon or honestly anything more than a primary. It is pretty focused on Add Clear, but if you're using non-collective weapons, then you don't have the same attachment to the gun where you feel like you need to maximize the build all the time by using Collective Obligation and doing all the debuff stuff 100% of the time. If that is getting to be too much to pay attention to, or you just want to zone out with like La Monarch or Graviton Lance, then do that because you're going to enjoy it more and it's not going to force you to focus on all the debuff transfer stuff, especially when it's a little bit of overkill anyway. That's really all I got. This build is wild. Again, nearly infinite Devour, which means healing and grenade energy, nearly infinite Volatile rounds to just AoE everything down. It's just nutty. And all you gotta do is just shoot stuff. You toss your suppress grenade and your smoke bomb at something, you scoop up some debuffs, and then you just go to town. It is, you know, it's one-dimensional, but man, is this thing powerful. Break out some new fashion, bring back some gunplay to this game. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.